Biden said that the immigration bills that he is giving to Congress to pass, all the various amnesty bills, he's not opposed to doing it in piecemeal, meaning it's not going to be one huge legislation that passes that gives everything to everybody all at once. Instead, he wants to do it piece by piece, get things passed that are easy to pass, and hopefully get other things passed that may not be so easy to pass, but he doesn't want to hold up the easy stuff while they're negotiating the harder stuff. So as an example, the first sign that something is going to happen was introduced an immigration bill dealing with the Dreamers. That is, of everything that Biden wants to pass for immigration, that has the most bipartisan support, both Republican and Democrat, and more than 75% of Americans are in favor, 3 out of 4 Americans are in favor of passing something for the Dreamers. As a result of that, that's going to be the easiest thing to pass. Now, a bipartisan bill, it was authored by Senator Dick Durbin and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who is a huge supporter of Donald Trump. So a huge supporter of Donald Trump and Dick Durbin, who has been authoring this DREAM Act for over 20 years. They're calling it the DREAM Act of 2021. The actual legislation was introduced into Congress. This is the first immigration bill that has been introduced into Congress where there is now going to start a debate on it. And it's going to provide young people an opportunity to immediately apply for lawful permanent resident status and eventually citizenship. Now, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program created by Obama in 2012 was a first step. But this DREAM Act of 2021 is going to be a much bigger group of people who will be included in this, if it passes, and it's expected to pass, than what Obama did for the DACA program. The DACA program was just work permission and deferred action. That's exactly what it stands for. Deferred action, meaning that even though you're a deportable alien, we're going to defer that action. We're not going to deport you. And instead, we're just going to give you a work permit while we work things out and figure out how to get you legal. That has left about 2 million young people in limbo. But what about all the young people who didn't qualify for the DACA? What about all the young people who came at a young age but were here for such a long period of time? They're in their middle ages already and still haven't legalized yet. Well, the DREAM Act of 2021 is hopefully going to fix these problems. Now, applicants of the proposed bill, if they meet the following requirements, are going to qualify for conditional permanent resident status immediately. They have to establish, now this is not law yet, but this is a bipartisan bill. Lindsey Graham and Democrat Senator Dick Durbin have introduced it. A Trump supporter and a Democrat have put together this bill. So this may very well pass very soon because it seems to have support from both parties. It is going to establish, and you can get conditional resident status if you fall in these categories. You have to establish that you are here before the age of 17. You have to be physically here and have continuously lived in the United States for 4 years on the day Joe Biden signs the bill. Okay? We don't know when Joe Biden is going to sign the bill, but let's assume he signs it sometime in spring of 2021. That means that you would have had to have been here under the age of 17 by spring of 2017. Now, obviously, you're going to have to pass a background check. You're going to have to demonstrate good moral character, no felonies, no multiple misdemeanor convictions. You're going to have to submit to biometrics. You're going to have to submit to having your biometric data processed. And you're going to have to also, obviously, go through a medical exam and make sure you don't have any communicable diseases. Now, in addition to all of this, you're also going to have to demonstrate that you are in college, you can apply to college, you have earned a high school diploma or in the process of earning a high school diploma. And obviously, there's going to be an application fee that you can't get out of. That will get you conditional permanent resident status. In short, You're under 17, you've been here for at least 4 years, you graduated high school, you're in high school. If you graduated high school, you're in university, or you've already graduated from university. That gets you conditional resident status right off the bat. Now, eventually, in several years down the line, and we don't know how many years that's going to be, it's going to be negotiated out, you're going to make an application to go from conditional resident status to permanent resident status. Now, before I even get to a permanent resident status, under the Obama DACA plan, you had to be under 30 on June 15th, 2012. If you were over 30 at that point, you don't qualify anymore. With this, there is no over. It's only under. You had to be under 17 and been in the United States for 4 years when the bill passes. Doesn't matter, you could be 50 years old right now and still qualify. Now, once you get the conditional resident status, you're going to have to apply to remove those conditions. You're going to have to maintain continuous residence in the United States. You can't leave and go live somewhere else. You will have had to have demonstrated to get your permanent residence that you have at least graduated from college, a 4-year college, or you've done at least 2 years of a bachelor's degree towards a 4-year college. Or if you don't want to go to college, you did 2 years in the military. Or you can show that you have worked for a period of at least 3 years on the books and have paid your taxes. You're going to have to demonstrate an ability to read, write, and speak English. You're going to have to pass an American history test like you do for citizenship. Again, you will have to do another background test. Again, you're going to have to do a demonstration of good moral character. We talk about good moral character all the time. Again, you have to show no felonies, no multiple misdemeanors, submit again to the biometrics, submit again to background checks, and then pay another fee. But that's going to legalize millions and millions and millions of people who came under the age of 17 and were living in the United States for at least 4 years when Joe Biden signs that bill. I have confidence that is going to pass. Now, there's going to be another bill that gets introduced shortly, TPS, amnesty for people with temporary protected status. I think that has a pretty good chance of passing as well. The harder thing is going to be the amnesty for everybody else. I think they're going to have a harder time passing that. I'm not saying they're not going to pass it, but there's going to be a lot of give and take. Something is going to be given up in order for them to pass, ultimately, an amnesty for the rest of the people who did not qualify for amnesty under DREAM Act and amnesty under TPS. What is that going to be? I don't know, but I can imagine some scenarios, and I imagine the scenarios because I've seen the negotiation happen over the last several decades. Republicans want to get rid of family immigration. It's very possible that to negotiate out a full amnesty for everybody, that they may end filing for brothers and sisters. It's possible that they may end the visa lottery. It's possible that you can't file for your adult children who are married. You know, they're breaking up the different amnesty bills. So there's going to be an amnesty bill for the Dreamers, which we just went through. There's going to be most likely an amnesty for a TPS. And the reason they're breaking it up, like I said at the beginning, is they feel certain bills are much easier to pass than others. So DREAM Act will be easy. It's being bipartisan support. Lindsey Graham, who is a huge Trump supporter, he's introducing this bill.
Wow.
Okay. They haven't introduced the amnesty for the TPS. It'll happen shortly. I believe people with TPS who have been here for long periods of time will be able to get through as well. How is this going to work? Well, that's going to be harder because as you get to everybody else, there's less support within American society. There's still a majority support for an amnesty for everybody, but less. You know, when you say, 3 out of 4 people want the Dreamers to be able to get a green card and ultimately become a citizen, I can't tell you honestly that 3 out of 4 Americans want every person who's undocumented here to get a green card and become a citizen. It's going to be less than 75%. It's going to be harder to get Republican support for that. So right now, the way that Biden is doing it is for Dreamers, a TPS, and then an immigration overhaul. That'll be the third bill. So when you do immigration overhaul, that's not, I'm just giving you amnesty. That is, we're overhauling the system. And as part of the overhaul of the U.S. immigration system, if they can strike a deal, the deal will be, we're going to give amnesty to everybody else. Anyone who's undocumented will get an amnesty. But there's going to be a give and take. Politics, we didn't see this in the last 4 years, but politics is supposed to be the art of compromise. So there has to be a give and take, a compromise, because many Republicans and even some moderate Democrats want to see immigration overhauled. What would an overhaul look like? So I was talking about it. Perhaps there would be no more filing for brothers and sisters. Perhaps there would be no more filing for adult children of U.S. citizens. Perhaps there would be no more visa lottery. Perhaps they will tighten definitions of what an aggravated felony is. People who commit crimes may have less chance to stay in America. I could envision a situation like that in return for an amnesty for everybody else. So that's going to be a harder give and take. That's going to be a political game. That's why they're breaking it up. That's going to be a political game. DREAM Act, that'll pass. That's got bipartisan support. TPS amnesty for TPS, most likely. This amnesty for everybody else, there's going to be a lot of give and take. We'll see how it all pans out. That's what's happening here right now. Okay. So you're going to see the bills come in different parts. And the harder bills to pass is going to be more, we have to overhaul immigration and give something to Republicans to get the amnesty for everybody else. Under the DREAM Act of 2021, this is the bill that is now being debated in Congress. We don't know what the final bill will be. But what it is if you are here under the age of 17 and you've been here for more than 4 years when Biden signs that bill, you can be 40 years old, you could be 50 years old, you can be a 90-year-old grandmother. If you came under the age of 17 and you graduated high school and you do 2 years in college, 2 years in the military, you have 3 years of work experience to go from conditional to permanent, you will get the DREAM Act. And what it'll be is they're not going to make people, the reason they're doing a conditional first, is they're not going to make people first graduate from high school, then do 2 years of college. You just have to be on track to be doing it to get your conditional card. But to get your permanent card, you're going to have to demonstrate that you actually did it. I think it's ultimately going to happen. I think DREAM Act will happen first. It's going to be in stages. Then it'll be TPS. And then it will be an entire immigration overhaul where certain groups of people will lose in order for people who are undocumented in America to win. Who are those certain groups of people? Could be people applying for the visa lottery. It could be brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. It could be adult married children of U.S. citizens. I can see all of them losing in order for undocumented people in America to win. I could see that. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying that that's how I would want it to happen. I'm just giving a reality check to everybody. What I think is going to happen. I could be wrong. We'll see. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.